I want to welcome all of you for coming. As I was driving here and the rain was pouring down, I thought, oh, nobody's going to come. And then, look, everybody came, so that's great. Thank you to Victor and Angelica for offering up their house, their beautiful house. And a birdie told us that we have a special little birthday today. So I'm going to let Angelica tell you about
As
that.
Dina rolls her eyes, Dina, how fortunate to be able to join us here today. And we want to honor you. You're so blessed at 90 years old, Dina. Can you please join me in wishing Dina a happy birthday? Let's sing. There's my singing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dina. Happy birthday to you.
And Angelica, thank you to Christine for bringing her mother.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christine. And thank you to all of you, friends and family who are here. You know, I'm very passionate about Marian, and I've been affiliated with Marian with the foundation and the community board for 12 years, Sue. But you know, you're going to hear so many great things today about all the work that's happening. And again, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Angelica. So I'd also like to thank Kim Jeffers, our founding member, and Janine Westner and Lisa Westner, our charter members, who established the Legion of Marian in the first place, so thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to invite Kim up to say a couple words.
Okay, thank you.
And can I just say, there's plenty of sofa room. Toss the pillows. Can you please all come and sit here? There's plenty of room here, chairs. Come on over, guys. We can even pull some more chairs. Have a seat. And there's actually seating area here, too. So there's plenty of seating for everybody.
Well, season's greeting and welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, I'm just so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedules to join us today for our final winter presentation. This is our third quarterly meeting of the year. You know, we're just so grateful for all of the programs that we're learning about this year. Thank you, Angelica and Victor, for opening your home to us. It's so very gracious of you. And Jessa Brooks and Courtney Delato and Shelby McLean for all the attention to detail and how wonderful you've made this for all of us and how much you do for us at each and every meeting. So thank you. You know, I can't see very well anymore, and so I prepared something this morning, and I'm just going to ad-lib. I'm not going to read to you, but one thing that struck me is, well, first of all, I started this Women's Giving Society because I'm very faith-based, and Marian Regional Medical Center is faith-based, and the sisters, you know, began a good work probably before 1939. But 80 years ago was the first Santa Maria Valley campaign appealing to the citizens of the Santa Maria Valley in support of Sisters Hospital of $50,000. And in this good work of Legion of Marian, I asked Janine and Lisa Wessner to join me. We're related by family, to continue this good work. And it struck me this morning, looking at that old brochure, that 80 years ago, the appeal was for $50,000. And on our schedule today, there are 50 names. And we have officially raised $50,000. It's just, there's a little irony to that, and I just think it's so special But there are other members that have since joined that aren't on the list, and I actually think we're up to 54. And so the Legion of Marian, the hospital will, show us which departments are in most need, and we will present those programs every quarter. There's 3 quarterly meetings. And then we will receive an email highlighting those meetings with a video of the program so that if we're not able to attend, that we can study it and cast our vote. And at the end of the year, in the springtime, we'll have a year-end co-ed celebration announcing the award-winning vote. So my appeal to you ladies is to please come when you can. Invite those special women in your lives to join you at the meetings that you can come to. And if we're at 50 or 54, we can easily double and triple that over the course of the next year. And then, our donation will make a significant impact to Marian Regional Medical Center. So will you help me with this? I'd really like your help. Thank you. I could ramble on, but I do know that we are a growing community. This is a growing hospital. It's a world-class medical center serving the needs of communities and beyond. And, as a Women's Giving Society, I know many of our families donate, but this is a special Women's Giving Society that we can come together and enjoy fellowship and learn and then share with our peers, employees, just families, friends, all that we're learning and all the growth of Marian. So thank you very much.
Can I just add, several of us are members of the whole Tompkins Sister Society, right? And Roy Branding.
Yes.
They're at 70 members. We can definitely.
I like that, Angelica. No competition, and there's the men's group over there too. So we got to give them both a run for their money. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I look at all the women around here and men, and I thank you for really supporting community-based health care. When I look back, 80 years ago, Kim teed it up very nicely. We're going to be celebrating our 80th year this next year on May 20th. Was when I think Sisters Hospital opened 80 years ago. And what it's grown into now is just incredible. I was thinking today about how we added 57 new physicians to our staff this last year. And I think Dr. Merrill would share with you too that they're incredible physicians with backgrounds from Ivy League colleges, from some of the UCs that want to live and bring up their families in this area. And you're going to hear, I'm excited for you to hear about our OB residency program, but most of our residents, both the family practice and hopefully with our OBs, choose to stay in the area after they've gone through their residency here. So it's been a really good feeder to bring more primary cares to this area. So it's all very exciting. So right now, I would like to introduce Sister Meg. Sister Meg Keeler is going to give our reflection. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so sorry I'm late, but I get lost even in a circle. But I'm going to be ad-lib to a certain extent because, this is Advent, and this is a time of Mary waiting for her birth. And I just think of all of you who are mothers and those others that have mothered other children, how important that is that we realize, Mary in our life and being Marian Hospital, Marian Legion. There are so many things that are part of Mary's life. And each one of us can identify with Mary at this time. And I don't know how many of you, when you were little, and that was when I was quite little, the sisters always gave us different prayers. And I don't know if any of you have had this one. You know, a lot of times we see Mary folding her hands and just being serene and, you know, never moving. She raised Jesus. You know, she took care of him when he fell down and changed his diapers. She did all the human things that we don't always associate with her, you know, because we see her in statues or in pictures. And so this is one of the things that I got when I was quite little. And it's called, you may have gotten this, Lovely Lady Dressed in Blue. Lovely lady dressed in blue, teach me how to pray. God was just a little boy, tell me what to say. Did you lift him up sometimes gently on your knee? Did you sing to him the way mother does to me? Did you hold his hand at night? Did you ever try telling stories of the world? Oh, and did he cry? Do you really think he cares if I tell him things? Little things that happen. And do the angels' wings make a noise? And can he hear me if I speak low? Does he understand me now? Tell me, for you know. Lovely lady dressed in blue, teach me how to pray. God was just your little boy, and you know the way. To me, growing up, that was important. A part of Mary that was different than the stilted statues. So I leave you with that, with the thought of Mary going through her pregnancy at this time, and how many of you have gone through that stage in your life. And I thank you for, what was it, 80 years of support. It's incredible. You know, thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. That was beautiful. So now I'm going to introduce Dr. Chuck Merrill, who's going to tee up our OB residency program.
By the way, Jessa, thanks for making me go after Sister Meg. I don't appreciate it. So it was 2010 when Chuck Kova called in Todd Bailey, Dave Oates, and I into his office and said that we really have a problem here. And the problem he's talking about is that our town was growing faster than our doctors were able to take care of it. And as all of you know, our Franciscan mission is to care for our community with excellent medical care, especially the poor and the disenfranchised. And so, in part of keeping with that mission, he said, what do you guys think about starting residency programs? And we talked about it and we debated it. And we decided at one point that if we could, we would start both a family medicine residency program, which we did and has been very successful, and then later an OBGYN program. And like any effective administrator would do, I made Dave and Todd do all the work. So, and work they did. And so the family medicine program has been wonderful. And hey, Zach. And it's gone really well. Like Sue said, we kept a lot of people in town. And what most of you will realize, if you don't know it already, is that OBGYN is also a primary care specialty, and my friends here will explain that to you in detail. So when Sue alluded to the doctors that we're getting here and where they're from, I want to tell you, and I don't like name droppers, I really don't, but in academics, we do a lot of that kind of thing. And so I'm going to mention some institutions from which our doctors have come, and they've come learning how tertiary care centers practice medicine and do residency programs. So I'm not going to associate anyone with any one university, but how does this sound to you? Dartmouth College, Johns Hopkins University, Ohio State University, Temple, UCLA, UC San Diego, University of Washington, and Washington University in St. Louis. So that's where our faculty has come from. And so with that, I want to introduce Dr. Tamar Chaudhry and Dr. Elaine Yin.
Well, thank you everyone for inviting us. Feel a lot of emotions got moved in the last 8 minutes or 15 minutes. I wasn't expected, but I'll work through it, and I do appreciate the sentiments that were shared. Want to thank the Gutierrez family for hosting us. I think I saw you, okay, right back there, with grandkid. Is that correct? Cool. So, and then as well as the Legion for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to share about our program. As well as Marian leadership for giving us again this opportunity. So I feel like there's an opportunity here to be very personal, so I feel like I can do that and then share my story a little bit with you and then transition that into our residency program. So my wife and I, we've been married for about 10 years, so probably around the time that Dr. Merrill, Dr. Oates, and Dr. Bailey were investigating the residency, we were in Baltimore. And since that time, my wife and I, we wanted to start a family. And you may have noticed my son was here for a little bit. Jessa gave me permission to bring him. So Eli was with us today. But prior to him, my wife and I went through 5 miscarriages, or she went through the miscarriages. But that was our challenge. So what happened was once this 6th pregnancy occurred and it looked like things were going to work out with Eli, well, it gave us time to reflect on where our lives were and what we wanted to do. And so we were very happy. We had a lot of friends. We were settled in the community. We were enjoying where we lived in Baltimore, but in Maryland on the East Coast. But then I heard about this opportunity to be on the Central Coast at this institution in Marian Regional Medical Center. And then the idea of developing a residency program for women's health. And we thought about, wow, this is a big career shift potentially to leave where we are now and come over here. At the same time, it was a big opportunity in our lives to think about, what, we've talked about moving to the West Coast. We would like a different environment in which to raise our child. And one part about that we really felt was important was for him to learn about community, which I felt wasn't really something what we were going to be able to give him as strongly in the East Coast, in the big city, and the way our circumstances were. So we kind of took a chance 2 years ago, and we were very fortunate that I was given the opportunity to be part of the residency program, and I was given the position of residency program director. And so that's how we ended up here. The idea of being part of something that's being created to serve the community is strongly resonant with me, with my family. And that's exactly what we're trying to teach our residents. So a little background on why this residency occurred, and Dr. Merrill alluded to it a little bit. Basically, across this country, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, there's going to be a major shortage of healthcare providers. In particular, there's going to be a real shortage of primary care providers and providers of women's health care. So I think what Marian did is something really unique in that they said, you know what? Instead of trying to figure out ways to continue to recruit people from all over the place, what if we set up our own training program? And we taught them the values that are important to our community. And we brought in the best educators to give them the best possible education, and then with the idea that hopefully they stay here. So we tell them that when they interview here, our residents. We want you to be part of this program. Hopefully you fall in love with the community, you want to be part of it, and then serve the community. And that's how we're choosing the people who are coming to our program. So with the mix of our vision for what we wanted the program to be, to really live to the mission of the hospital, which is to serve the community, to provide the best possible care, and in particular be mindful of the poor and the disenfranchised. I think that's very, that resonates with the residents. They feel that that's why they come here. So between that and then having a really strong group of actually faculty who are already here, like Dr. Yin and some of the other physicians who basically were super supportive of having a residency program develop here, we're in such a strong position to create and manifest our vision of what the program could be. So, as an example, when someone wants to become a resident in OBGYN, they go through high school, then they go through 4 years of college, the undergrad, then they go through 4 years of medical school. And at that point, after close to whatever, they're in their mid-20s, they are a doctor. But now they have to decide, well, what kind of doctor do I want to be? Do I want to be an OBGYN? Do I want to be a pediatrician? Do I want to be a surgeon? Do I want to be a urologist? What do I want to be? So the people who are coming to our program are now doctors who've chosen that they want to commit their careers and their paths to women's health care. And our job is to prepare them so that in 4 years, and it goes by quickly, in 4 years, they are ready to serve the community. And I think we're being super successful with that. So some of the things that we're doing that speak to what we've accomplished. Number one, and the foundation of what we're doing, is to make sure they understand the culture of the community. Because you can set up a residency in different parts of the country, but the best way that program will work is if the institution, the program, the community are aligned. That way we're not just trying to achieve goals that are not important to our community, and at the same time the community that's supporting our program will get the value of what we're training the residents to do. So immediately one of the effects we've had in the 2 years that the program has started is we're able to see a lot more patients in our clinics, because even with just 6 new residents right now that have started in the last 2 years, we're able to have more patients come in with more openings, with more appointments available. They're already becoming excellent surgeons, which is remarkable because they're only a couple of years into the program. But taking care of women as far as labor and delivery, as far as primary care in the offices, and then as far as any gynecologic problems, bleeding, pain, these residents are getting an amazing exposure and training under the guidance of the faculty that we have. I think that's the concept, that they are already, like the family medicine program, I think half the residents that have graduated in the last 3 years have stayed on in the community. And we're hoping to have something very similar like that happen for us, which means train people to be excellent and then watch them serve the same patients in the community in which they trained. That can create a really strong bond, which, by the way, was something that drew me here in the first place, which is I knew about the strong sort of give and take relationship between the community and the hospital to begin with, and I thought that was really meaningful, and so we're building upon that as we educate our residents. So they get to do things from taking care of honestly, the most fundamental thing is just learning how to develop a meaningful relationship with a patient. And that comes from continuity, that comes from listening, that comes from being patient and being empathetic. And most of these residents already have those skills, but we highlight that as probably the fundamental core of what kind of doctor we want you to be. But then that advances to all the skills and the procedures they need to learn, all the way to like the cutting edge stuff that we have at Marian. We have, and a lot of places don't have it, which is all the way up to things like robotic surgery, where they're sitting in a corner over here on a machine, the patient is over there, and they are treating them and taking care of whatever needs to be done to make the patient healthier. So our residents are getting this full scope from things that are just as basic as learning to interact with a patient on a human level, all the way to the most sophisticated advanced technology. So, so what I believe is happening is we are training excellent physicians to go into the community and serve. And one reflection of that is, as a brand new program, it's not always easy to recruit new residents, because people may be concerned about, well, what's the reputation of this place? You know, other programs in the, say, even in California, I've been there for 20, 40, 50, 100 years. We've been here for a year and a half. Why should they come to us? But what we've noticed in just 2 years, or now this is our 3rd year, another group of residents will be starting, we are getting phenomenal applicants from across the country, from top-notch institutions like the kind Dr. Merrill mentioned. And in the beginning, I was skeptical, to be honest, that maybe they're just coming here and we're just sort of a backup plan for them, and they're really planning to be elsewhere. But the reality is, and the way the last few years our interview results have worked out and the residents have come here, they're not only that exceptional, they want to be here. Which tells me that there's something about what we're doing that resonates strongly with our residents. And maybe what it has to do with is this whole, anything you read about doctors nowadays, you hear about things like burnout and suicide and risk of all kinds of bad things happening. And they lose this sense of caring. They just become workhorses, and then somehow they lose sight of that I want to have this patient in front of me, this human being, and connect with them. And I think the fact that we're teaching that as a foundation is what keeps these residents saying that this is really meaningful to us and we want to continue in this environment. So I'm very extremely pleased and grateful, and what I see for the future is top-notch applicants coming here, wanting to be here, not because there's some other reason, but because of the opportunity to be in this culture, this environment. So I think we're in a really good place as far as the educational mission. And I thank everyone who supported us in that.
I'm not sure why I'm the last one to have to talk. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm Elaine Yin. So as I'm listening to everyone present today, this is, Christmas time. It's a very important time if you're a Christian, which I am. I'm also a member of Holly Tompkins, and yes, we will beat them next year, right? Being a charter member here. But I'm reflecting, and my life story is a little bit different. I I'm an OBGYN. I've been doing this for a really long time. According to the residents, dinosaurs roamed the earth when I started practicing. But I started in San Luis Obispo in 1992 with a very busy private practice. And 20 years into it, loved everything I was doing, but I felt like I needed a new challenge. I thought, okay, I'll learn robotic surgery, which was unheard of for someone who'd been out in practice for a while. Learned to do that and go, well, that wasn't really that much of a challenge. Guess that spoke to my training back where I trained. And then Chuck Kova got a hold of me, as he does, and said, we're starting a residency program at Marian. I said, oh. I said, so you've got OBs that will teach the family practice residents OB? And he says, well, not really. None of them are really that interested in doing that. I said, well, okay. Do you think I could maybe help? And so that relationship evolved. And he says, if we get this off the ground right, maybe we'll do an OBGYN residency program. I'm thinking, oh, that's never going to happen. But okay, we'll see how this plays out. Well, here we are. So in the course of my lifetime, I found the guy I'm now married to late in life, and we were a little late to have kids. But funny thing, I feel now with the residents, I don't think I've told them this, but I feel like I'm their mom. I now have 6 kids, and at the end of this, I'm going to have 12. Am I crazy or what? But it's interesting because as we've all the mothers in the room who have raised kids, you watch them kind of grow up. They start walking, and then, in 4 years, I have to teach them how to do what I do. And when sometimes I tell them what my day starts out, I got up, I did a surgery, delivered a baby by C-section, ran to the office, saw some patients, delivered another baby, and then did a surgery in the afternoon. And that's my normal day, and you do it. And they're starting to get that because I'm so proud. 3 of our residents this week got that, oh my goodness, this was a really tough, high-risk patient. They stayed late to do an emergency C-section to deliver a very premature baby. They stayed late to help Dr. Labed do a urogynecologic surgery. Now you have to remember, this residency is different than the residency I trained in. Again, dinosaurs roamed the earth. So the residencies nowadays have 80-hour work weeks. Over a 4-week period, they can only be in the hospital 80 hours taking care of patients a week, which sounds like a lot, but not compared to what we used to do. And we have to teach them effectively in that short amount of time. And so when they are so committed to taking care of their patients that they're going to stay late to do something, it just warms my heart because now I know they get we're taking care of the patient, we're taking care of the community. We have 6 residents. 3 of them already have proven to us that they got it. And 2 of them are interns. Amazing. So now I feel like we're raising these kids right. You're going to go wrong sometimes, right? Because they don't always listen to you, right? But we do what we can. But in the spirit of that, there's so many things that we have to teach them. We already have some of our big tools. Just like a mom, you want to take care of the kids and make sure they have everything they need. There are things that we need. When it comes to delivering, we want everybody to deliver their babies vaginally and healthy and normal with no need for any intervention. But there are times when we have to do what's called an operative vaginal delivery, and that's helping them out with a vacuum or forceps. Well, there's a special tool, a simulator, that teaches you how to do operative vaginal delivery correctly. And trust me, I don't want them to learn on real people. I want them to learn on a model, right, a simulator. So that's something that is a need at this point in time. And because I'm a mom, we're now at 6 residents. We are fast outgrowing the space that we have. We've already moved our Hancock Clinic, which is where we had residents, for the first 3 quarters of a year, and then we had to merge because we were getting short on faculty and we needed more space. So now we have an office that has 20 exam rooms and one area that is smaller than this beautiful living room for the residents to hang out in. So there's 6 residents That's where we do our teaching. That's where we have to do our didactics, which is protected time for them. And imagine adding 3 more residents with a round table and all these computers and cubby holes. And when we hit 12, we need more space. So in a perfect world, my fantasy and vision, and Jessa and Sue know this about me, and so does Dr. Merrill and Dr. Chaudhry, we need a women and children's center. Okay, imagine a place where we can train our residents, where they have a place that they can call their own, that they can take care of 12 residents, because we're going to keep having 12 residents when we get to a full complement, that they can call their own, a clinic that will take care of all of our underserved with all the things that we need right on the same place, maybe throw in lab, throw in mammograms and ultrasounds there, and then have the children's part all in the same place. And my fantasy is to have it connected to the hospital, but I don't think that's going to happen. I do dream big. Look, I started here in 2012, and now we have a residency program, so I'm the dreamer of the group. And I think we can do this. I think it's the right thing for the community. We do have little things. For example, our residents start taking night float in January, and we're still working on the call room. We're close, but we don't have a place for them to lay their head down if they're lucky enough to lay down at night. And we're running out of room for our attendings as well. But those are the immediate needs, but we have a lot of what we need already, and this community and this administration has been so supportive for this residency program that we need for this community. And yes, I'd love to say 2 years from now that we have graduated residents that we're proud to have stay in the community. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Is your dream to only keep it at 12 residents, or would you like it to get even bigger if you could support it?
Okay, so the government, in its infinite wisdom, says that they will only help us support 12. If we grow this big enough and bright enough, we can then accommodate more, but that would have to be funded within. Okay, so that's something to ask Sue. Yes.
You just mentioned how many deliveries occur here in Santa Maria, just so people are.
We're doing 300, averaging between 250 to 300 deliveries a month. And in the time that we now, so when I first started my office, I was the only one. Our office now delivers 90 deliveries a month. So yes, we need help. Yes.
How much is the simulator?
The simulator for, that's you, I don't know.
That actually is probably in the range of somewhere, depending on how much you get with it, but somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $5,000 typically.
But call room, conference room, there's a lot of things that we need. It's a start. There's always little things that surprise us. Oh wow, we need more instruments in the clinic to help. There's some new things that we need to add to teach them because the technology keeps changing. So I mean, if you add it up, it's probably between the indice, I could get to 50. Okay, so I also know how to shop. I could get to 50,000 easily, just so you know. I'm a shopper at heart.
I had another question too. Is there a way when you interview the residents that you can incent the ones that you are selecting to stay here, to have a little more skin in the game so that they are staying in our community and working here rather than relocating?
It's actually one of our selection criteria. And actually, it's question number 1 on how we rank them, on how well do they know the program and do they, as you put it, have skin in the game. Yeah, that is one of our selection criteria.
Yeah, I would say our goal is to make sure we have the strongest possible applicants who are going to be successful. But then, obviously if someone's really strong, but then they're potentially going to leave versus someone who's not nearly as strong that might stay, you have to be careful about how you do that because everything's at stake there. But they almost know it now that's the reputation. The residents talk about it as, how they would live here. And so I think that's really ingrained already in the mindsets of those.
How many people apply for the residency? How does that process work?
So we have 3 positions each year, and last year we had about 240 applicants, and this year we had over 300.
But we only interview, what, 50
We
to 60?
interviewed about 50. So
We went down pretty quick.
Yeah, it's super competitive. To be honest, good for us. People really want to be in California. There's a lot of programs south of us. There's a lot of programs north of us, but this whole stretch on the Central Coast where a lot of people would, frankly, a lot of them say this, well, I have family south and I have family north, and I don't necessarily want to be too close to either side. So where you are located sounds great to me, but there's a lot of demand for what we're doing. And OBGYN in particular as a specialty after they finish medical school has just gotten extremely competitive, which means we're getting really strong applicants baseline.
I'm not even sure I'd get into our program now with the grades I have. So. Other questions?
Yeah, Dr. Yanner, either one of you, sorry, the acuity of the patients that we serve in Santa Maria and a changing culture, but also in some of the things that our residents are learning that they might not learn somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Would you mind just addressing that a little bit?
So what I'm so impressed by, if I think back to my residency program or my learning, it was very structured, and an intern, you didn't say or do anything, you just kind of helped out and hoped you learned by osmosis. But from the very first day, our residents are thrown in, basically they're seeing the patients that we see, and of course they can't do anything without our supervision. Oh my goodness, that would never happen. But we're teaching them such high acuity, very sick, very complicated patients from the very first day. They also see normal, which is nice, but they crack up because they go, wow, we don't see that many normal. Everything we see is challenging. The moms are sick, they're delivering prematurely, they have multiple health problems. Sometimes we have trouble getting them back in to just be seen because they don't have transportation. We're gonna have to work on that too. But they're learning at a much more rapid rate because they only have 80 hours a week to learn. So we really do, for lack of a better term, cram it all in there. And from a gynecologics perspective, they go to leadership conferences and they talk to their other colleagues and realize, oh my gosh, I'm doing way more surgically and obstetrically than they are at the same year. And our scores are kind of showing that. They're doing well. And there's national tests that they get compared by, and we did well last year. I was pleasantly surprised. I know that sounds awful, but it was.
I can add to that, but I was told if I'm going to answer another question, I better use the mic. So I'm not just going to the mic because I want to hear myself projected. I'll give you an example. Monday night, we did a C-section on a patient who was extremely sick. The resident did a C-section with the team. The baby was about this big. Okay, and so far doing really well. Went to the NICU and doing really well. That's the one end of the spectrum where the life, really, really early on to do everything to save the patient's life. And we have the resources, and that kind of condition arises often enough that they learn how to handle it with us. The other end of the spectrum might be something like cancer. And women's cancer and ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, our GYN oncologists. And they're using the most advanced technology, ICU care, really sick patients. Again, that full scope of disease that some of it seems like, I was in Baltimore, we had our own sort of types of conditions we saw. But here, and maybe it's because a lot of it is also unknown in terms of like the mixed echo population, for instance. They seem to have some unique conditions that we're seeing more of that requires you to just be extra vigilant that you may not get that kind of experience learning and taking care of patients elsewhere.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to comment on that too. One of the things I've noticed since coming down here to Marian is that the amount of cancer that's out there and the variety, these residents are going to come out so well trained. They're seeing stuff now that it took me years to see out in private practice. Yes, I had a program that was similar to this, but they're learning, and what they're able to learn from, I have no doubt that when they finish that they will be people I will be happy to have take care of everyone in the community. And that's our goal.
Thank you both very much. The other thing about our program, which I think both programs, the family practice and the OB programs, have both really changed the culture. When you say, Chuck, at the hospital, it's been a very good dynamic. I think all the physicians feel like they have to up their game a little when they're having to teach what they know. It brings a whole new element. And it also brings just a whole fun atmosphere, And then on top of that, because of our residency program, like we just recruited to join their practice 2 female OBGYNs who are both fantastic. And you know, I'm myself and any of us would be happy to go to these two women. They have incredible credentials and everything. And I think part of the reason they joined our program is because we have a residency program. They may not have done it if that hadn't happened. So all in all, it's been a great thing. I mean, and to just go on with that, I mean, like you were talking about the small baby in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit. 10 years ago, we didn't have that. And so you think about that, all those babies were taken to other hospitals or down to Cottage or someplace, and now we can take care of them in our community. And step by step, we just signed an agreement with Valley Children's in Fresno to help us up our game in pediatrics too, because we have a pediatrics unit, we have a pediatrics program. We'd eventually like to get to a pediatric ICU, but in the meantime, you need specialists, you need subspecialists in all those areas, so they're going to work with us to get that set up. So we're very excited about that. And Elaine and I think, have a vision of out the second floor, we're going to expand, and it's going to be a women and children's pavilion. There's going to be parking underneath, up on top, 2 floors. 2 floors will be women's and children's. But in the meantime, yeah. But in the meantime, there are small needs that the program has that, you know, $50,000 could go a long way for. Even like you were talking about, we need another sleep room because the residents are all going to be there now 24/7 starting in January, and they need a place to sleep. They also have said they need a place to work out. We're looking for a room that we can convert to a little gym because we have more and more physicians now that stay 24/7 in the hospital, which is a good thing for patients coming in, but it also adds its own dynamic. So thank you all, and as we conclude our inaugural year, as I think we've said, I think Kim said it, we have 50 members. We have $50,000 that's going to go to one of these programs. You'll be receiving voting ballots after the first of the year once we all get through the holidays. And then on April 16th, I believe it is, or somewhere around there, we will be having a program. We'll all be getting together and we'll announce the winners, which will be which will be kind of exciting. So before we close, I think Flora's going to come up, and Flora Washburn is our manager of spiritual care for the Central Coast, and she's just going to give us a final blessing for the group.
I am, and I'm so glad that everybody took liberties because I'm going to change this up a little bit. What really sticks with me is birthing. And I thank you, Sister Meg, for bringing that up. Because Mary birthed a child, and you are part of a birthing process as well. This Legion of Marian Giving Society is birthing something that can go on for years to come. We have a strong foundation at Marian. The sisters, the community leaders, and those who have really believed in providing health care for the community, they've laid a foundation for others to build upon over the years. And now you're part of that foundation, and you're laying another foundation. So it's another birthing process. So I'm very happy to be a part of this today. Thank you so much. As the spiritual care department, just in case you don't know, we're chaplains we serve all 3 of our hospitals, Santa Maria, Rio Grande, and French. We also have a chaplain with PHC, Pacific Health Centers. And we get the great privilege of walking alongside patients and kind of their different times that they have to support their emotional and spiritual needs and whatever they're going through. And we're with them at the beginning of life, and we're with them at the beginning and somewhere in between when maybe they've just received a new diagnosis or having a difficult time, or we've gotten to celebrate with them when they're having something wonderful take place. So I've always considered being a chaplain a privilege and just a great opportunity to, for me, serve in a ministry way that actually means something. So when Jess and I were talking, we were talking about, some of us were at a leadership conference a few months or back in October, and we did a commissioning service at that time at the very end. And the blessing I'm going to provide is kind of a commissioning to all of you as leaders and as community members, as physicians, and in whatever capacity you serve.
that the work that you do is so vitally important. And even in your dark moments of feeling, can I do this? Know that you make a difference, a really big difference. And that's why I kind of got emotional when Dr. Yen and Dr. Chaudhry were speaking, because they make a difference, and the residents in our community make a difference. So I don't have my glasses either, Kim, wherever you are, but I'm going to print it. This is a blessing and a commissioning service for all of you. And first of all, wanted to just say thank you for who you are and for what you do and for starting the ministry of the Legion of Marian to serve our patients and our communities. May you have clarity and wisdom as you ponder which projects to approve. May creativity and innovation be unleashed for the year ahead. May you experience excitement, achievement, and fulfillment in the ministry of giving. May you be blessed with hope, energy, and new life in all you do. May you be kind to yourself when times are hard. May you know health, strength, and peace in the year ahead. May the foundation you have laid for the Legion of Marian be built upon. May you give thanks to God for your foundational gifts, for the communities we serve, and for the hope and compassion that burns in your heart and lights up the world. And know that you are a light, each and every one of you. And as a group, it's a strong, bright light. Your light is a gift that sets you apart as one team with one purpose and one mission. You can all fulfill the call of excellence in patient care, in staff care, and in building healthier communities. Thank you for accepting the responsibility of leadership and service to our communities. God bless you all, each and every day. Amen. Amen. And God bless you as you ponder which project to select. And I just encourage you to think about the one that tugs at your heart the most, because they're all such worthy projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Flora. And with that, I think we've come to the end of our program. I think everyone, though, welcome to socialize. And may you all have a wonderful holiday season. It's here, and if you're like me, you're going to run out of here, and you've got 15 stops on the way home. But may you have a restful and relaxing rest of the day today, and a wonderful holiday season. Thanks, everybody.